You ever have that bizarre moment in a dream where you think, hang on, this is a dream? Well, what if you could not only recognize that moment, but actually grab the controls? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the world of lucid dreaming, and our guide is the personal research of a lifelong practitioner who mapped the strange landscapes of his own mind. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to bust some common myths first. The guy whose notes we're following is really clear about one thing. No two dreamers are the same. A lot of the so-called rules you've probably heard about dreaming, yeah, they're mostly just assumptions, and it's about time we put them to the test. Let's kick things off with a big one. Our senses. The common wisdom is that when we're out cold, our senses are pretty much switched off. So if I asked you, can you smell coffee brewing in a dream? Most people would probably say, no way. But here's the wild part. You absolutely can. For people who've really practiced this, the dream world is a full-on sensory experience. You can taste the food, you can feel the cold, and yep, you can smell the coffee. That line between the dream world and the real world, it's a lot blurrier than you'd think. Okay, here's another classic reality check you've probably seen all over the internet. The idea is that if you try to read a sign or look at a clock in a dream, the words will be all scrambled and the clock will just be a mess, and that's supposed to be your big clue that you're dreaming. But again, that's just not how it works for everyone. Our guide is very clear. In his dreams, which are super realistic, text can be perfectly sharp and clocks work just fine. So the real lesson here is that your dream world plays by its own rules. You gotta forget that one-size-fits-all list you found online. So, all right, if dreams are way more real and complex than we give them credit for, what does it actually mean to become aware that you're inside one? What happens when you kind of wake up but you're still asleep? And this, right here, is the heart of it. People get hung up on the idea of control, of being some kind of puppet master. But it all starts with something way simpler and, honestly, way more powerful. Just that single lightning bolt moment of realizing, I'm dreaming. That little spark of awareness, that's the key that unlocks the whole thing. For our guide, you have to understand this was not some fun hobby he picked up. His whole journey started from a place of genuine fear. As a kid, he was tormented by horrible nightmares, night after night. He literally taught himself how to become lucid just to survive them. It was a defense mechanism. So the whole game changes right here. It's this massive shift. In a normal dream, you're basically an actor in a movie, but you have no idea you're on a set. In a lucid dream, you suddenly realize you're the actor, you're the director, and you're the writer, all at the same time. You go from just watching the story unfold to actually shaping it. Okay, so that leads to the obvious question, right? How do you actually learn to do this? If it's a skill and not some kind of superpower you're born with, then what's the instruction manual look like? Well, if you go online, you'll find the usual suspects. Keep a journal right by your bed to write down your dreams, do these little reality checks all day long to build a habit of questioning things. And for a lot of people, these methods totally work. They're a great place to start. But our guide, he found a much more direct, almost elegant way in. Instead of trying to catch himself dreaming from the outside, he learned to basically launch himself into lucidity from the get-go. His trick? As he was falling asleep, he'd just start imagining a story, and then he'd consciously carry that story with him right across the border into sleep. It's like you're setting the stage for your own subconscious. So when the curtain goes up, you're already aware that you're the star of the show. But here's the thing, becoming lucid is really just the beginning. It's like finding a hidden door. Once you step through it, you find out the world on the other side is way bigger and a whole lot stranger than you ever could have imagined. This is where the real exploration begins. For our guide, everything changed after a major health crisis. It forced him to relearn everything from the ground up, and that process completely transformed his perspective. His dream world wasn't just a playground for flying around anymore. It became his personal laboratory. So he started running experiments. His first big one was to stop treating the people in his dreams like they were just puppets. He'd walk up to these dream NPCs and ask them a simple, direct question. Do you know this is a dream? And the answers he got back, whoa. They were never what he expected. They were smart, they were surprising, and sometimes they were incredibly profound. And this led him to discover something completely different. A state of consciousness he calls immortal dreams. Think of it like this. In a lucid dream, you're basically the god of that world. You create it. But in an immortal dream, you're just a visitor. You step into a life that's already happening, a life that comes with a whole set of memories that aren't yours, in a world you can't control at all. And if you want to understand just how real these experiences can feel, get this. In one of these immortal dreams, he experienced losing someone he loved. The grief was so powerful, so absolutely real, that it crossed over with him when he woke up. And that feeling, it has stayed with him for over 10 years. An emotion born in a dream, shaping his waking reality for a decade. Now, I know, stepping into other lives and feeling their emotions sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But the idea that dreams can be the source of these huge, world-changing ideas, that's not new at all. Actually, it's a pattern you see again and again throughout human history. It's like our brains are doing some of their best creative work while we're asleep. I mean, just look at this stuff. You've got a scientist who dreams of a snake eating its own tail, and bam, he cracks the structure of benzene. Paul McCartney literally wakes up and the entire melody for Yesterday is just there in his head. James Cameron has a nightmare that gives us the Terminator. From science to music to tech, some of our biggest leaps forward were literally born in a dream. So where does all this leave us? We started with just trying to control a nightmare, and now we're staring at these massive, fundamental questions. And they're not small questions either. They push right up against the edge of what we even know about consciousness itself. It really comes down to this one giant mystery that has a few different, totally baffling parts. First, there's the architect problem, right? How is your brain building a whole, detailed universe complete with a backstory and physics, while another part of your brain is just chilling in there, experiencing it all as if it's real? Then there's the control problem. Even when our guide is fully lucid, he's not all-powerful. He can decide what he wants to do, sure, but the world around him often does its own thing. So, if he's not pulling all the strings, who or what is? And that gets us to the identity problem. When a character in your dream tells you something smart, something you didn't see coming, an answer that genuinely surprises you, where did that answer come from? If it's not from your conscious mind, whose voice are you actually hearing? And all of that leads us to the most mind-blowing question of them all. Our guide wonders, maybe these immortal dreams aren't just dreams. What if they're real? What if they're glimpses into other dimensions, maybe even connections to our other selves in parallel universes? It's a staggering thought, and it leaves us with one last thing to chew on. When you close your eyes at night, are you just going to sleep? Are you actually going somewhere else entirely?